Today we're talking about Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair, the brand new revival series on Hulu. And honestly, as someone who grew up loving this show, I went into this revival both excited and nervous. Because let's be real, sitcom revivals usually go one of two ways. Either they completely ruin the legacy, or they somehow recapture the magic and remind you why you loved these characters in the first place. And surprisingly, Life's Still Unfair actually works. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but emotionally, comedically, nostalgically, this genuinely feels like stepping back into the chaotic world of one of television's most dysfunctional families. Now, before I watched this series, I had a couple major concerns. First off, it's only 4 episodes long. 4. And immediately I was thinking, wait, that's it? Because this isn't some random sitcom reboot nobody asked for. This is Malcolm in the Middle. This show mattered to so many people growing up. So hearing that the entire revival was basically a mini event had me worried that everything would feel rushed. And honestly, that concern never fully disappeared even after finishing the show. Because while I really enjoyed this revival, I absolutely think 6 episodes would have been the sweet spot. 4 episodes feels like just enough to make you emotional. And then suddenly it's over. Returning to the family. The story centers around Malcolm returning home after being distant from the family for a while because Lois basically forces him to come to Hal and Lois's 40th anniversary celebration. And honestly, that setup works perfectly. Because this family has always been chaotic, messy, emotionally exhausting, and somehow weirdly relatable all at the same time. Everybody's older now. Everybody's gone in different directions. And you can immediately feel that separation between them. But the second these characters reunite, it's like no time passed at all. That's one of the biggest compliments I can give this revival. The chemistry is still there. Bryan Cranston and Jane Katzmarek immediately slide back into Hal and Lois like they never left. And that's honestly kind of insane considering how long it's been. The yelling, the panic, the stress, the love hidden underneath all the insanity. It still feels authentic. The nostalgia actually works. Now look, a lot of modern revivals rely way too heavily on nostalgia bait. You know exactly what I mean. Constant references, forced callbacks, characters staring into the camera basically saying, "Hey, remember this?" Thankfully, this series avoids that trap for the most part. Yes, there are callbacks. Yes, there are cameos. And yes, longtime fans are absolutely going to smile at certain moments. But most of it actually feels natural. The show understands that nostalgia works best when it supports the story instead of replacing it. And some of the surprise appearances genuinely made me happy. Not because they were shocking, but because they reminded me how much I missed this family dynamic. The new characters. Now, another major concern I had going into this revival was the introduction of newer characters, because this is usually where revivals fall apart. But surprisingly, the new additions actually fit really well, especially Kelly. Kelly adds this fresh, chaotic energy that somehow feels perfectly believable within this family. And honestly, the writers deserve credit for making her feel like she always belonged there. That's not easy to pull off. Then there's Malcolm's daughter, Leia, who is basically Malcolm 2.0. And I'll admit, at first I was worried she'd just feel like a copy-paste version of young Malcolm. But thankfully, she has enough personality and charm to stand on her own. And honestly, her dynamic with Malcolm might actually be one of the strongest parts of the entire revival. Because now, Malcolm is experiencing the same stress and emotional frustration that he used to put everyone else through. And watching him slowly realize that, that's where some of the best comedy comes from. Frankie Muniz returns. I also have to talk about Frankie Muniz because he's genuinely really good here. You can tell he understands exactly who Malcolm became as an adult. He's still intelligent, still anxious, still overthinking absolutely everything. But now there's exhaustion behind the character. Like life didn't exactly turn out the way Malcolm imagined it would. And honestly, that feels realistic. Because the original show always balanced comedy with this uncomfortable reality underneath it all. These characters struggled. Financially, emotionally, mentally. And this revival still understands that tone. The emotional side. One thing that genuinely surprised me was how emotional this revival gets. There's a conversation between Malcolm and Lois that honestly hit way harder than I expected. Because beneath all the yelling and chaos, there's always been love in this family. A very messy version of love. But real love. And the revival really leans into that emotional maturity. There are moments between Hal and Lois that almost made me tear up. Which is crazy because the original show rarely hit me emotionally like this. This revival feels older, a little sadder, a little more reflective. And honestly, that works in its favor, because the audience grew up too. The biggest problem. Now, with all that praise, I still have one major issue, the pacing. Because 4 episodes just isn't enough time. The first episode spends a lot of time getting everyone back together. And by the time the entire family dynamic finally starts fully clicking again, the show is almost over. That's frustrating because every episode genuinely gets better as it goes along. By episode 4, I was fully locked in, and then suddenly, credits roll. Series over. That's honestly the worst part about this revival. Not that it's bad, but that it made me want more. Does it feel like the original? And I think that's the biggest question people are going to ask. Does this still feel like Malcolm in the Middle? Honestly, yeah, it really does. The humor still works. The awkward family energy still works. The chaos still works. Even the endings of the episodes feel like classic Malcolm endings. Like, life is still unfair, but somehow hilarious at the same time. The only weird adjustment, honestly, is the visual style. Seeing this family filmed in modern digital quality feels strange, because the original series had that early 2000s sitcom look that added to the charm. But after a while, you adjust to it, and honestly, it becomes kind of emotional seeing these characters older in a modern setting. Like time actually passed. Because it did. And somehow this show acknowledges that without losing its identity. Final thoughts. Overall, Malcolm in the Middle. Life Still Unfair is a genuinely successful revival. It's funny, it's nostalgic, it's surprisingly emotional. And most importantly, it remembers why people loved this family in the first place. Sure, it feels rushed sometimes. And yes, I absolutely wish it had more episodes. But honestly, maybe that's why it works. Because just like a real family reunion, you finally reconnect with people you missed, only for it to end way too quickly. And by the time it's over, you're already wishing you had more time together. So for me, I'd give Malcolm in the Middle, Life Still Unfair, a solid 3.5 out of 5. And if Hulu announces another season, I'll absolutely be there watching day 1. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did this revival live up to your expectations? Who was your favorite returning character? And would you want more episodes in the future? If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more TV reviews just like this. And until next time, stay classy.